Shalom. Call hello Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Rakahak Badash. Double honors into the apostles, double honors into the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. The would-be judges, the 144,000 who are to be the judges here on earth over all the other nations, the kingdom of heaven, the house of David, the tabernacle of David that is to be set up, the lineage of who the world ignorantly calls JC, his lineage being set up to govern the whole world. That is the kingdom of heaven. That's what the Bible tells you, right? Salvation in heaven is not for everyone to be ruling. Everyone goes to heaven, but only one nation of people will be ruling, and it's definitely not the imposters that are over in the land of Israel. You can see what they've done to the world, what they're doing to the world. Just look at Gaza for an example of why these people cannot and will not be the leaders of all mankind enforcing the heavenly laws. Matter of fact, in that land, they do everything opposite of what the laws in the Bible, because they don't follow the Bible, they follow the Talmud. All right. And to the rest of the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth. All right. Because Israel is scattered among all people and have the appearance of those people. That's why the angels, the messengers are going to come to gather them back up, because only they know who they all are. All right. As they are among the heathen and looking like the heathen. And to the few akwaf, meaning the sisters, the women that are listening and learning. All right. To you, I say shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in brutal truth. All right. And the reason I decided to show and play this short video from Hawk, how ICE equals the cartels, because anyone can buy that stuff and ride around, and no police are not going to question them. No one's going to question them. So you don't know what's going on. All right. And it also means that ICE can act as a cartel. ICE can go after anybody that they want. No one's going to question them. All right. We already see on a daily basis the corruption within police departments. Hell, I just watched a video about some Italian bodybuilder. I'm trying to remember his name. It won't be a difficult thing to research once I see it. But how this guy was, a corrupt, dirty cop out of the East. I forget what city, if he was in Vermont or one of those places up there. He was definitely out east. But how this guy would follow police corruption and then broadcast it on his cable access channel. All right, because the media and mainstream wasn't doing anything about it. Department of Justice wasn't doing anything about it, and so this cop kept harassing him and harassed a bunch of people, and then eventually the cop beat him up and beat him so bad he broadcast his access channel from his hospital bedroom. He still didn't back down. All right, and it wasn't until the cop was thrown in jail himself and went in prison for killing 4, it looked like the Northern Kingdom men over a drug deal. So this would, and look, back to blue, right? So this cop was making money, street money, and was just as dirty it can be. Like, unfortunately, like the majority of them. All right, maybe you should just not. Maybe just pale men or so-called white men should not be allowed to be police officers. All right, if you want America to live up to its creed, what it declares about freedom and fairness and all this other mess, they shouldn't be allowed to be cops, or they shouldn't be allowed to police unless they're only policing in their own neighborhoods, among their own. Just a suggestion, but that would never happen. But anyway, this cop kills murders these men, and he goes to jail for it. Then it turns out that this cop was the last cellmate of Jeffrey Epstein. Go figure. All right. Let me grab a scripture. So the point being is that these just like law enforcement here in America, The same, how's that scripture say? The same as the leader, the same as the people, because you have a sitting president that's not following the law, that's not following the law of the land. All right, but allowing foreign entity, a foreign government, to have dominion and rule over our three branches of government and over the people. You know, with that whole thing about if you don't support Israel, your funding is cut off from your state in the case of any disasters. You know, and we saw the way that they aimed certain technology at Texas. All right, but this is Isaiah 29:15. Woe to them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh, and their works are in the dark. And they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us? So, you know, they do these wicked things and they try to hide what they're doing. So just like this, I'm going to play the short video. All right. So they got cartels operating, you know, as ICE, but then you got ICE operating as cartel and predators. The same thing is happening on both sides of the spectrum.
So I talked to a Fort Worth police officer last night on 7th Street about my question of what do we do if we see masked unidentified gunmen taking somebody off the street in our neighborhood. And I told him the neighborhood I lived in. And his response was, well, they don't coordinate with us. I don't know who they are. And I don't know what.
ICE does not coordinate with the police departments. So ICE you can have rogue ICE agents, just like you have rogue police officers, or you can have fake ICE agents, tongue twister there, just like, you know. So there it is. You can have predators as on either side of the spectrum, operating in a rogue status, or people faking the funk, frauds.
What the right answer is for what you're supposed to do if you see this. And he added that he fully believed that cartels were taking advantage of this situation because anybody right now can grab an ice patch off Amazon, put it on a vest, grab a mask, and go kidnap somebody. And we as citizens have no way to know whether they're law enforcement or cartel members. And I would go on to suggest that just your random predators and thugs are taking advantage of this as well. And there is zero line between law enforcement and actual criminals right now.
Yeah, you're right. And law enforcement every day acts as criminals. This Italian bodybuilding police officer that was the last cellmate of Jeffrey Epstein is just one example of thousands. Every day, all day long. All right? So these people, they operate out. They put a system up. And I left it up so you can read the what do you call it? The ticker tape. All right. This is a good background to play while I play these other videos. This is the next one. This is of the same guy. You know, the guy Hawk there that you see to the right. But you have a president that is completely disrespecting the law of the land, and everyone under him is doing the same thing. So is the leader, so are the people.
Donald Trump, through his attorneys, told a court in Colorado that while he was president, he had no duty to support the Constitution.
You hear that?
His attorneys really wrote that on a piece of paper and filed it with the court and sat back and they're like, that's it. That's our winning argument, guys. That's our winning argument. It's the Colorado case that was filed by the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, acronym is CREW, seeking to have him disqualified from the ballot in Colorado under the 14th Amendment, aiding or abetting an insurrection, engaging in insurrection against the United States. Trump's lawyers are arguing that the specific language of the Constitution argues that the requirement to support the Constitution only applies to people in offices that are bound to do so by the language of the Constitution, and the presidency is not one of those offices.
You hear that shit? All right, so Everyone, including the president, no one is above the law of the land. And what they, matter of fact, let me get a scripture. This is talking about unethical. But this is 2 Corinthians 2:11. And it reads, lest Satan should get advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So he does things to get around the law, or just outright disregards his law, all right, in order for him to push policy that's oppressive and controlling and to take more rights away from the people. Okay? Let me go to the receipts, to the evidence. And I'm going to read something to you as soon as I find it. I got so many there it is. All right. In the receipt file, law of the land. Okay. I highly suggest you screenshot this one if you don't have it. Okay. Just pausing it for a second. Screenshot. Okay, I'm going to read it now. The general misconception is that any statute passed by legislators bearing the appearance of the law, including the flunkies that work for the president, all right, or the president himself. Okay, so any statute passed by legislators bearing the appearance of law constitutes the law of the land. So a lot of these things that they pass in the name of NGO organizations that support this foreign nation that has complete and dominant rule over Americans' tax monies, all right, that you need to support them and pass laws that if you speak about it, you know, you're labeled an anti something and get canceled, and they go after your money and your bank accounts and garnish your wages or whatever. All right. The U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So the Constitution is to America as the Bible is to Israelites. It's that important. Okay. It says the U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and any statute to be valid must be in agreement. So any law that is not in agreement with the Constitution is valid. And they'll lie and talk about safety and blah, 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 blah. It's all to gain control. You can't be ignorant of Satan's devices. All right. It is impossible for a law which violates the Constitution to be valid. All right. This is essentially stated as follows. All laws that are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. All right. So that's going back to every president that I can remember in my lifetime. So this is not something that started with Trump. They've been doing this for a very long time. I always mention that Title 4D child support is completely not in alignment with the Constitution of the land. The way they enforce it, they violate individual civil rights. All right. And it's highly illegal. You know, I've proven that so many times, but I'm going to do a lesson really revealing, you know, that how, and hopefully you get to see it before they shut down the internet, because that's where we're heading. That's another part of their devices, because information keeps getting pushed out that's not in their favor. All right, that they don't want you to hear, don't want you to know, don't want you to see. And these videos that I'm playing are compliments of April O'Neil, the water beloved. These are hot and heavy. So we're going to talk about the death of the internet, okay, and which is leading to the famine of the word, okay. Why? Because things like this is being exposed. I'm going to show you this picture. Let's go to back to the evidence folder. And it says this doll represents how many V's, all right, or max scenes, all right, how many max scenes a child receives by age 2, all right. And think about that, and then think about the videos. What he says, are in these things that they're now removing, which means they were aware. They were aware what they were putting into the people, violating the law of the land, violating all sort of safety acts, all for profit. And everybody involved should be thrown in prison. Some should even be sentenced to death for the crimes of humanity that they did against all these children over the last, three decades or so, doing what they've been doing. All right. And knowing that, and so everybody that's involved, every small hat, every name that's in the CDC or any of their medical systems, anyone who's made money, their pension should be taken. They should be brought up on charges, and all the money that they made should be given to the victims. That would be justice. That would be right. That will make everything square. All right. So let's listen to them. Let's grab a scripture. This is Psalm 64. Now, if I got two I want to read in there, I'll think about it. Psalm 64, 8 and 5. Psalm 64 and 5. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune, laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? See, they're sneaky, doing this dirt. All right. But then they turn around and tell on themselves, so that they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. This is why they want to come against the internet. All right. And come against people who speak truth. All right. They literally want to make truth a bad word. Being awoke is a bad thing, because they need you to stay asleep and stay in the matrix. All right. They need you to continue to be a good, proud, bend over and take it American. All right. That's what they want. But let's go to this next video. These next two. Because I've been waiting to use these. So we'll play RFK's first. All right. Today's agenda is, and these are from TikTok, of course.
HHS Secretary, I'm happy to report that last week we closed the final chapter in the long history of thimerosal in the United States. Thimerosal, of course, is a mercury-based vaccine preservative. Its main component, ethyl mercury, is a known and very potent neurotoxin. Until we withdrew the recommendation last week, flu shots containing thimerosal, astonishingly, were still being administered to millions of Americans, including pregnant women and children. Now, I've taken a lot of flack from the vaccine industry and from its allies in the press about my decision to ban it. So I want to talk a little.
That's what happens when you speak the truth. You get demonized. And who was behind it? Who's behind those max scenes? Small hats, NGOs, the medical system, CDC. They're all getting paid.
About my reasons. In early 2001, the director of the FDA Office of Vaccine Research and Review, late William Egan, admitted under oath before Congress that thimerosal's safety had never been studied in human beings. Further, CDC has no existing guidelines for safe exposures to ethyl mercury. It is therefore inexcusable that these agencies allowed neurotoxic mercury to be injected into Americans for so long. A quick search of the National Library of Medicine's PubMed and PubChem websites, and that's thousands of studies on search terms such as mercury neurotoxicity, mercury in development, and mercury in the brain. Hundreds of them identify thimerosal as a potent neurotoxin, a carcinogen, a mutagen, and an endocrine disruptor.
God damn.
But let's put all that peer-reviewed science aside and just look at what the government itself and the vaccine industry say about thimerosal. Thimerasol's own label advises against its use during pregnancy, pointing out that thimerosal has never been shown to be safe and that it causes mutations in mammals. Thimerosal's material safety data sheet acknowledges that thimerosal is toxic, that it has nervous system and reproductive effects, that it's mutagenic in mammalian cells, that exposure to mercury and thimerosal in your HHS secretary.
That is insane, man. That is insane. All right, so we'll play this next video. It's about 2 minutes long. All right, Julie Donuts. I'm putting them on shortly so you can see them. You can go seek these out yourself.
So Kennedy comes out today and makes about a 8 or 9 minute video saying that he is approving the removal of
Michigan City. That's not far from me.
Which is mercury, removing that out of all vaccines. And he was specifically highlighting the flu vaccine. So let me get this straight and clear for the general public who is not furious right now about this.
She's right.
Thank you, God, for this horrible thing to stop, right? Thank you, Kennedy. Thank you, Trump.
I remember I used to help when I was out there in Naperville with that MMA team out there assisting as a strike coach. All right. For some really big names that you've seen fight in the UFC and other venues. There was one particular fighter. He never made it mainstream, but his name was Bill. He was a firefighter, so that was a joke. Firefighter, Fire Marshal Bill. But Bill had a son who was autistic, and he blamed it on the vaccines, and he always mentioned it and talked about it in his fights. He was fighting for that, and he was, ridiculed for that. All right. It looks like, Fire Marshal Bill was absolutely right. And people like him, and all you people who ran, and took certain things into your bodies, and now your health has declined. Many died from myocarditis and other things like that. Your sickness is basically revenge to all the people who told you that you ridiculed and made fun of.
Yes. I think people might be missing the point that this whole time, 20 plus years, more than that, all this time, the CDC, Big Pharma, and the media that was promoted and funded by Big Pharma, they knew it this whole time. Anti-vaxxers were crushed and made fun of and demonized and kicked out of offices, and all these years, all these people coming out telling their stories about their hurt children. All this time. So, Mr. Kennedy, what are you going to do about the people in the CDC and Big Pharma and doctors and everybody who knew this whole time? What are you going to do to them? Because that is crimes against humanity.
And you know what? And she's right. Matter of fact, I decided I'm gonna go ahead and save that one to the receipt folder. All right. Yeah, she's absolutely right. And like I said, they should be counseled. Any pensions, any monies that they made, their bank accounts should be taken and given to the victims of the people. Everyone who died from the thing that happened in 2020, got sick, have blood clots, paralyzation, whatever happened to them, And then the fact that you do this against the Constitution and then try to write laws and stuff to protect you from retaliation. These people, hence the reason information being shared like this is a danger to Esau Edom. Because once people figure out these things, they could have some major problems, man. When the bend over and take it's not the home of the brave, but the home of the bend over and take it's decide they're not going to bend over and take it anymore and decide to fight back, they're going to have a problem. So they need to control information, and even more so, all right, you think information like that is threatening. What's really the most threatening to them is the information that the men of the Lord are bringing out. All right. Exposing these traps and snares that Esau lays. So let's go to Psalms. A lot of Psalms today. 141. And it reads, Psalms 141 and 9. Keep me from the snares which they have laid for me, and the gins and the workers of iniquity. Let the wicked fall into their own nets, while it's that I withal escape. So the Lord is going to allow certain members of the elect to escape these things that are coming. His elect are going to escape it. And Esau is falling into his own traps, which is why they're so angry. All right. And this next video is the ultimate trap, because they want to completely control the people. But before I play it, I'm going to play this one. This is only about a minute long. All right. Because you got people that really want to help people. And then you got people that are all in it for money. Okay. And anything that threatens Esau's oppressive programs, where they rape people of their pocketbooks and expose them to poisons and toxins and things just so that they could profit. All right. That is a threat unto them. Okay. Matter of fact, this next video that I'm about to play could definitely go ahead and kick off the third woe. It can make it, because it's already happening, but it could definitely speed things up. So here we go. And this is by Ants Incorporated.
Russia has announced a vaccine for cancer. They've tested it. This is coming out of Russia. And they're going to give it to anybody who has cancer for free. You can't have it if you don't have cancer. They say that would be dangerous. But if you have cancer, you can get it. And it seems to be working. So they're saying, I'm taken back because they just want to give it to people to help people. They don't want to sell it. You probably won't see this on American media because, big pharma, the medical industry here, they don't want you to know that they have this capability. And they're going to want to monetize it. They're going to want to, they're probably going to come out and say they got one too, watch. They're probably going to come out and say, we have one too, all of a sudden, because God forbid somebody else did it before they do it in this country, and try to give it out for free when they're going to try to monetize the shit out of it.
Remember, we're dealing with a country that faked a moon landing just so they can make themselves look better than the Russians. All right. And then they still teach that lie in their school books, in their textbooks, and in movies. All right. You got, a good portion of the people that have woken up to the fact that that was a lie. And then you still got a bunch of dumbasses out there that believe it happened, when their own books and their own science from NASA textbooks tell you that human beings cannot pass through the Van Allen belt. They can't do it. All right. The Van Allen belt is you have to go through the Van Allen belt to get to the moon. Duh. All right. And secondly, that's the first fact. And secondly, the technology is better today with lighter materials, as far as vehicles that can travel. And so you think that they went to the moon in that little tin can, and then how did they refuel and come back? How was it that that's the joke? The news van got there before them to record them coming down. You people Americans are really gullible, man. Collectively very stupid. Extremely stupid collectively as a people. All right, so let's play this last video and bring out a couple more scriptures and wrap this up. And that's this one. And this is the famine of the word, because too much truth is coming out, which is too damaging to Esau Edom. And he wants to be able to control the narrative, or force a narrative, force feed you something, even when he knows that you know it. He knows it's not true, and he knows that you know it, but you have no way of communicating with anyone else. They want to take that away. That's why they want to do this whole ID thing to be on the internet now. Okay.
There's been a lot of chatter on TikTok, on the internet, about how apps like YouTube and Spotify are going to start requiring that their users upload a picture of their government-issued ID in order to continue using them services. Now, the reason they're giving is for age verification. Of course, they want to protect children. But I'm here to tell you right now, it has nothing to do with that. There are a plethora of ways in which they could protect the children from being able to access specific...
If they wanted to protect the children, they wouldn't have been giving them all these max scenes. All right? They wouldn't be the biggest pedo trafficking country in the world. All right? They don't give a damn about no children unless they can profit off of them.
Content without requiring that you, the user, upload your government issued ID. Now, what this is really about is about you. It's about your data, who you talk to, what you talk about, the sites you visit, the things you buy, your views, your political affiliations. All of that is made easier if they can literally track your browsing activity and link that to your government issued ID. And the funny thing is, YouTube and Spotify, oh, that's just a tip of the iceberg. I promise you, we are going to start seeing many, many, many more apps require you to upload your ID in order to use their services. And I'm here to tell you right now, the day they start asking for that is the day I stop using the service. The nanosecond Spotify asked me, yo, you need to verify your age. We need to see your ID. Is the day I transition to Apple Music. I swear.
See, there is no transition into anything. This is a guy that still thinks he can, that's just it. What we keep trying to tell you. All right. Esau is not going to allow a system to work within his system where you can get around dealing with him. All roads will lead, and how are they going to, all this will lead back to the MOTB. That Revelation, the 13th chapter. All right. That's what it comes down to. Okay. You won't be, and that's how they're going to control it eventually. You won't be able to go on the internet unless you're plugged into their system. Whether it be banking, because there's a video on here where a guy questions, what if they require, what happens if banks require a digital ID? Well, eventually they will. That's exactly what's going to happen. It's not a, if, is when, and it's all soon. All this stuff is happening real time, man. Time really, truly is short. Let's get a couple more scriptures here. All right. This is Jeremiah. (18 and 22). Oh yeah, because they're coming, man. Esau's coming. Let the cry be heard from their houses when thou shalt bring a troop suddenly upon them. For they have digged a pit to take me and hid snares for my feet. But you know what? When they do that, the Lord's got a response, man. Because what they understand is that they coming for us, but Yahushua is coming for them, man. And he's going to raise up that standard and lift up those men. And this is Isaiah 59 and 19. So they shall fear the name of Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against it. All right. And the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgression in Jacob, saith Yahweh, man. So the Lord, basically, the 144,000 that are here on earth among the elect are going to be activated. All right. And you're going to see some real Avengers, X-Men activity going on, except you're not going to be able to send Stryker and his anti-mutant group to stop them. All right. When you understand who the elect are, the type power that they're going to have. Hence the reason why Esau Edom hates and fears the Israelites, which are the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans primarily. All right. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakahak, Wadash, Kwam, Yasharala, Abad, Babal.